Book of Heaven, Volume 24, Part 6. May 26, 1928. God is order, and when he wants to give a good, he places the divine order in the midst of creatures. How our Lord, informing the Our Father, placed himself at the head of the kingdom of the divine Fiat. I continue what is written above. As I was concerned about all that regards the kingdom of the will of God, my always lovable Jesus added, "My daughter, God is order, and when he wants to give a good to creatures, he always places his divine order in it. And everything that is done in order to obtain a good so great begins from God, as he places himself at the head of it to take on the commitment, and then orders the creature for the same purpose. I did this in order to give myself the redemption, and so that creatures might receive it. And I am doing this myself to give the kingdom of the divine Fiat, and so that creatures may receive it. By forming myself, the Our Father, I placed myself at the head of it, and took on the commitment to give this kingdom. And by teaching it to my apostles, I placed in the creatures the order of how to be able to obtain a good so great. So, the whole church is praying. There is not one soul who belongs to her that does not recite the Our Father. And even though many recite it without interest in wanting and asking for a kingdom so holy, that the divine will be done on earth as it is in heaven, since the interest is in he who taught it, by their reciting it, my interest is renewed, and I hear my own prayer asking, "May your kingdom come, so that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." However, if the creature, in reciting the Our Father, had this interest of wanting and longing for my kingdom, she would take part in my own interest, and her will would be fused in mine for the same purpose. But regardless of this, my will and interest always run in each Our Father. See, then, the divine order, all asking for one thing. Among these who ask, there are some who want to do my will, others who do it. All this is braided together, and they knock at the doors of my divine will. They repeat the knocking, and some knock strongly, some slowly. However, there is always someone who knocks and asks that the doors be opened, so that my will may descend to reign upon earth. And since everything is established and ordered by the divinity, it awaits the one who must give the strongest knock, who, forcing the doors with invincible strength, the very strength of my divine will open wide the doors, and with her sweet chains of love will bind the eternal will to make it come to reign in the midst of creatures. She will be like a bride, who, bejeweling the groom with her loving chains, will carry him as though in triumph into the midst of creatures. And just as the Holy Virgin put an end to the night hours of the patriarchs and prophets, and formed the dawn to make the sun of the eternal Word rise, so will this one form the dawn to make rise the sun of the Fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven. Do you think that my will, that has made itself known with so much love, and has manifested so much interest in wanting to come to reign upon earth, pouring its sorrow out with you, has done this without anyone praying to it? No, no. The knocks of my church have been continuous, and I myself was knocking in those knocks. But I used them to knock at the door of the divine Fiat, which, tired of hearing them knocking at its divine doors, has used you to be knocked more strongly. And opening the doors to you, it made you share in its knowledges. And for as many truths as it made known to you, so many means has it given you to form the loving chains, to let itself be bound to come to reign upon earth. And all the times it calls you to live in its divine volition, making known to you its qualities, its power, its joys, its immense riches, are as many pledges it gives you, with which it assures you of its coming upon earth. In fact, in us there is this prerogative. If we make known a good of ours, a truth, a knowledge that belongs to us, it is because we want to give it to the creature as gift. See then how many gifts my will has given you, how many of its knowledges it has made known to you. They are such and so many that you yourself cannot count them. And I, my beloved Jesus, who knows when this kingdom will come? And he, my daughter, in order for redemption to come, it took 4,000 years, because the people that prayed and longed for the future Redeemer was the smallest one, of limited number. But those that belong to my church are more peoples, and oh, how much greater in number than that one. Therefore the number will shorten the time. More so, since religion is making its way everywhere, and this is nothing but the preparation for the kingdom of my divine will. May 30th, 1928. The Creation, Divine Army, the Fiat, Celestial Flag. Example of the child and of the rich father. How Jesus wants entire peoples to pray. Who these peoples are. I was doing my round in the divine Fiat, gathering the whole creation all together in order to bring it before the Supreme Majesty as the most beautiful homage, the most profound adoration, and the most intense and extensive love for He who had created it. It seemed to me that there was nothing more beautiful I could bring to my Creator than the magnificence and the continuous prodigy of His own works. And then, while I was doing this, my beloved Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, there is no homage more beautiful and worthy of our adorable Majesty than offering to us our own works. As you go around in the creation, you gather our divine army to send it to us as our glory, and as the fierce army that asks with insistence and violence for the kingdom of the divine will. Therefore, as you go around, you place the divine Fiat as noble and divine flag in front of each created thing, and with their tacit speaking, they ask with divine strength for the kingdom of my will upon earth. Oh, how beautiful it is to see the whole creation bannered all over with the divine fiat. From the smallest to the greatest thing, they all possess the flag of the fiat placed by my little daughter. They really look like a formidable army, and waving their noble flag with authority, they ask, with repeated petitions, for what they possess. That is, the kingdom of my will upon earth. Then I continued on with my round, and I kept placing my divine fiat, not only in all creation, but also in all the acts done by Adam in his state of innocence, in those done by the Virgin Queen, as well as in those done by our Lord, sending them like an ordered army around the divinity to ask for its kingdom. And Jesus added, "My daughter, heaven and earth are praying. All of my acts, those of the sovereign queen, as well as those of innocent Adam, that were all invested by my divine fiat, they all have one voice, that resounding among them as a most sweet and strong echo, asks, 'Your kingdom come.' My daughter, in creating man, I acted like a most rich father, who, having had his child born to the light, would want to amuse himself with his little one by giving him all his riches. And he says to him continuously, 'Son, take whatever you want and as much as you can.' The little one fills his pockets and his little hands, but so much that, as he is unable to contain them, they flow down to the ground. And the father, inciting him, says, 'Is this all you have taken? Come, take some more. Take everything.' The child sees himself hampered. Bravely, he returns to take, but his capacity can take nothing else. And the father smiles and amuses himself with his little one. So I did with man. I gave him all my riches as gift, and he, like a little child, was incapable of taking them all. And playing with him, I would say to him, 'Take, my son, take much. Take everything if you can. The more you take, the more I will enjoy and make feast.' Am I not doing this with you, to the point of wanting to give you the kingdom of my divine will? This is why I make you go around in the whole creation, in the works of my redemption. Nor do I deprive you of the dominions of the sovereign Queen of Heaven. And while you go around through our works and dominions, I keep whispering to your ear, 'Take whatever you want, my little daughter.' And to give you the right to it, I have you mark all of our works and our dominions with your 'I love you.' And in this 'I love you' of yours, that repeats its refrain, 'Give me your divine fiat,' it seems that fiat and 'I love you' are braided together. And I, knowing that what you want and ask for is the greatest thing, and a divine kingdom, in which not only you, but all those who will be in this kingdom may all be kings and queens. If you knew what you are asking me for! Heaven and earth are astonished, and all are watching the braveness of your request, and my goodness, all paternal, that longs for you, and smiles at you with totally excessive love, to give you more confidence in asking for it with more braveness. In fact, my daughter, since it is so great a kingdom that I must give, I want an entire people to ask me for it. And the first people is the whole creation. And by going around in the midst of it, you move all to ask for the coming of the kingdom of my divine will upon earth. The second people are all my works, and those of my celestial mamma that were done on earth. These peoples are divine and interminable peoples. Then there is the people of the low earth, that is formed of those who recite the Our Father, and of the few who in some way know my divine will, and ask that it come to reign upon earth. And when entire peoples pray me, having at the head of them her to whom a mission so great has been entrusted, what we want to give, and which we are asked for with insistence, is conceded more easily. Does the same not happen in the low world? If a king or the leader of a country must be elected, there are those who incite the people to cry out, "We want such and such as king," or "such and such as the leader of our country." If some want a war, they make the people cry out, "We want the war." There is not one important thing that is done in a kingdom for which some do not resort to the people to make it cry out and even tumult, so as to give themselves a reason and say, "It is the people that wants it." And many times, while the people say it wants something, it does not know what it wants, nor the good or sad consequences that will come. If they do this in the low world, much more do I, when I must give important things, universal goods, want entire peoples to ask me for them. And you must form these peoples. First, by making all the knowledges about my divine fiat known. Second, by going around everywhere, moving heaven and earth to ask for the kingdom of my divine will. June 3rd, 1928. Requital to the love of God informing the nature of man. The truths are stairs in order to ascend to God. The divine will, revealer of the work of creation to man. Example of the sleeping child. I continue my abandonment in the divine will, and while going around in it, my poor mind carried itself into Eden, in the act in which God was forming the nature of man, before infusing the soul in him. And I was thinking of the great love with which the Supreme Creator formed the human body, and that before Adam existed, in forming his body, he loved him with the love of a father who loves his newborn, and that since the life of the soul of Adam did not yet exist, he did not requite him with his love. So the divine love remained isolated, without the company of the love of its creature. But it was not right that his love remain without the requital of the little love of the one whom he so much loved. So I thought to myself, the divine will is eternal, and whatever is done in it is always in act, nor does it ever lose the present act. Therefore in the fiat I want to anticipate the love of Adam and amuse my Creator with my love. In the act in which he formed the human body, I want to echo his love, to say to him, "In your will I have loved you always, even before all things existed." Then, while I was thinking of this and other things, my always lovable Jesus clasped me tightly in his arms, telling me, "My daughter, how happy I am that I manifested to you so many truths about my divine will. All of my truths that I have told you about it are stairs for you, in order to ascend in the acts of my eternal volition, to find our first act in act that has the virtue of being always present, and of giving us the joy and the happiness of the requital of your love. For us, in order to descend toward you, to look for the company of her for whom we operated and whom we loved so much. How sweet is the company of the loved one! It is full of unforgettable joys. And how equally bitter is isolation, and not enjoying the presence of the one who is so longed for, so loved, and for whom one operates. While we were forming the nature of man, before infusing life in him, we acted like a father or a mother when their child is sleeping. Taken by tenderness, by irresistible love, they long for, they kiss and press their sleeping child to their bosom. And the child, because he is sleeping, knows nothing about it. If you knew, my daughter, how many kisses, how many loving squeezes we gave to the human nature before giving it life. And it was in the ardor of our love that, breathing over him, we gave him life, giving him the soul and breath, heartbeat and warmth to his body. So the breathing you feel is our own. The heartbeat that beats in your heart is ours. The warmth that you feel is the touch of our creative hands, that in touching you infused warmth in you. And as you breathe, we feel our breath breathing in you. As your heart palpitates, we feel our heartbeat of eternal life beating in you. And as you feel the warmth, it is our love that circulates in you and continues its creative and preserving work, warming you. You must know, my daughter, that our will is the revealer of the work of creation. It alone can reveal all the secrets of love hidden in creation. Adam did not know everything. How many stratagems and loving finesses we used in creating him, soul and body. We acted like a father who does not tell everything at once to his little child, but little by little, as the child keeps growing, he wants to give him surprises, telling him how much he loves him, how much he has done for him, how many loving finesses, hidden kisses, when the child, as a little one, was incapable of comprehending what the Father gave him and could give him. So the Father gives him now a surprise, now another, and this serves to maintain the life of love between Father and Son, and to increase their joy and happiness at each surprise. What would the sorrow of this father not be, who, while his child was sleeping, covered him with kisses, pressed him to his heart, and his loving tenderness was such and so great that he reached the point of wetting the face of the sleeping child with tender tears. If in waking up, the child does not smile at his father, does not throw his arms around his neck to kiss him, and if he looks at him, It is with coldness. What sorrow for this poor father! All the surprises he had prepared to manifest to his son, he closes in his heart with the sorrow of not being able to share his happiness, his purest joys, to the point of not being able to tell him how much he has loved him and loves him. So it was for us, my daughter. Our more than paternal goodness prepared many new surprises for our beloved child, and our divine will took on the commitment to be the revealer of them to him. As he withdrew from it, Adam lost the revealer, and this is why it is not known how much we loved him and all that we did for him in creating him. Therefore, we feel the irresistible love for our Fiat to come to reign on earth as it does in heaven, so that, after so many years of silence and of secrets, it may give vent to its flames and return to act as the revealer of creation, because little is known of all that we did in creating man. How many surprises it has to say, how many joys and happinesses to communicate. Don't you yourself hear how many things it tells you, both on what regards my divine will, and on the surprising love of the whole creation, and in a special way, the creation of man? My will is the book of creation. Therefore, its reigning in the midst of creatures is necessary, in order to know how to read it, and to be able to read it. The human will keeps poor man as though asleep. He sleeps, and the sleep prevents him from feeling and seeing all the caresses and finesses of love that his celestial Father gives him, as well as the surprises he wants to make known to him. His sleep prevents him from receiving the joys, the happiness that his Creator wants to give him, and from comprehending the sublime state of his creation. Poor man, asleep to true good, and deaf to listening to my will, which is his revealer, his noble history, his origin, his marvelous height and beauty. And if he feels any vigil, it is either for sin, for his passions, or for things that do not have an eternal origin. He acts just like that sleeping child, who, if he wakes up, cries, makes fusses, and torments the poor father, who almost regrets having a child so restless. And this is why my divine will is revealing so many of its knowledges, to wake man up from his long sleep, so that, waking up in my Fiat, he may lose the sleep of the human will, he may reacquire what he lost, and may feel the kisses, the love, the loving squeezes that his Creator gives him to his bosom. So, each knowledge that regards my divine will is a call. It is a voice that I emit. It is a cry that I send, to wake man up from the sleep of the human will. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 24, Part 6. Fiat.